We Speak Student!
Donne criticism. A la Shmoop. John Donne's one of those guys who makes you feel like you're not doing anything with your own life. Yeah, one of those guys. So check out the list. He traveled across Europe and fought against the Spanish. He was imprisoned for marrying Anne Moore without her dad's permission. He transformed himself from a broke lawyer into a prominent preacher. Hallelujah! And of course, he wrote poetry. The anonymous editor of a 1633 edition of Donne's work, published 2 years after the poet's death, praised his ability to rhyme the word dead with discovered and determined. The editor also went on to say that Donne's poetry was the most awesome thing to happen to English literature ever. Never mind that Shakespeare guy. Other people must have agreed with this assessment, though, because the poems were reprinted multiple times during the 17th century, and reprinting in those days was hard. Yet at the same time, a number of critics and other poets turned against Donne. The dude was dead, it's not like he could defend himself. The anti-Donne camp disliked the irregular rhythm and weird imagery of his poetry. Dryden, an influential 17th century poet who wrote a lot of stuff you've never heard of, spoke for many when he referred dismissively to Donne's rough cadence.
That's rough.
By the time Samuel Johnson was writing his Dictionary of the English Language, great book, read it, in the 18th century, Donne was really out of fashion, much like shoulder pads and mullets are today. Johnson thought metaphysical poetry like Donne's was interesting, but that it also had some serious problems. Donne groupies remained scarce on the ground during the 19th century, when free-flowing, sensuous romantic poetry was what got people all, hot and bothered. Didn't take much in those days. Who wanted to wrestle with the irony of Donne's poetry when you could read a pretty little lyrical sonnet about a nightingale instead? Robert Chambers, a 19th century critic, directed a particularly nasty piece of commentary at Donne's poems. They were, in his opinion, cold and forced conceits, mere vain workings of the intellect.
Oh, snap!
Chambers also concluded that the poets of Queen Elizabeth I's time, like Shakespeare, could out-sonnet Donne any day of the week. Oh, snap. Then came the Victorians, a notoriously prudish bunch who objected to the frank sexuality in some of Donne's poetry. Fleas and lovers in bed together? What next? Sheep? Dogs? Smokey the Bear? It wasn't until Scottish literary scholar and critic Herbert Grierson edited his collection of metaphysical poetry in 1912 that Donne's reputation began to revive.
Elliot, throw the switch.
Donne was given an additional boost in 1921 when T.S. Eliot published his essay on metaphysical poetry. After that, Donne was well on his way to a spectacular reevaluation as one of England's most inventive and formative poets.
My work here is done.
In your eye, Robert Chambers.
Can we be done with the Donne puns?